All right. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for participating in our community discussion. We are talking about the Montreal Caribbean Carnival. Let me just mute. Okay, yeah, we're talking about the Montreal Caribbean Carnival. Thank you, Production Sounds, for being here to help me to moderate this conversation that we're having with the community. um, so basically, the the purpose in why we came together today as a community is to create an opportunity, one, for us to express our thoughts, our comments, concerns, if we have any. It's to share experiences that we might have had, our hopes for the future as a community, and how we want to proceed and how we want to move forward. And just giving some context, it's important for myself and the organization that I run to get a better sense of what how the community feels outside of just Facebook and people posting comments. People who participated or people who are interested in the culture, it's really important to give you an opportunity to express yourselves and based off of what the community needs, what the community wants. We're here to support it. We're here to encourage it. We're here to strengthen it. Obviously, I have a perspective. I have opinions on it. But today, it's not necessary for me to just share mine. It is more for me to hear you guys own. If there's questions, if there's answers that we could answer, then we will. If we don't have the answer, then we'll have to table it. And again, our role as the OFC will take the responsibility of taking on whatever questions that might be asked that we don't have the answers for. We'll formulate it and we'll send it to the coalition, or I guess to the coalition or whoever is responsible for communications. I think it's Chris. So we'll make it a point to send him the questions and maybe request a follow-up meeting with the community. Again, we're here to help to facilitate and to create this space and this opportunity for members of the community. All right. So with context, I hope everybody is okay. So I guess we'll first get started, like how I like starting anything that I'm hosting, is always giving thanks to life, giving thanks to God, our creator, and giving thanks to our ancestors for being present here with us and for creating this opportunity. Oh, I'm disappearing my screensaver. For giving us this opportunity for us to be able to get together this evening. And I just ask that the time that we spend, let it be very productive, informal, and educational to everybody who is participating this evening. Let's build in peace, love, joy, and harmony. Otep, amen, and ashe. All right, guys. So with that, if we could first just start with for anybody who would like to share what their experience was. Positive, negative, there's no wrong answers. It's just, and when I talk experience, it could be any experience within the festival. So it could be the pageant, it could be Junior Carnival. The main point that we're talking about is the actual carnival itself that happened this past weekend. But if you took part in other things that you'd like to share about, you're welcome to do so. Production Sounds, did you have anything that you wanted to add or say before we dive in? Sorry, forgot. You're on mute. You're still on mute. Production, you're still on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. You can hear me now?
I can hear you, brother.
Sorry about that. Okay. I have nothing really special to say before we dive in, but or basically we saw that this new committee got the carnival, and we've been observing what has been going on. We heard what happened for the kiddies, and now we saw what transpired for the actual parade and the sizzle. So yeah, so I guess if we just dive in and say our opinion on or whatever. Okay.
Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, because that's really it. That's the point. So I guess production, we're here. We're the hosts, so we could start. And again, people, you're welcome. Just for housekeeping, just to keep it simple, and so we won't start talking on each other. You could raise your hand, and if you don't want to vocalize it, feel free to put it in the chat. My reading is terrible, but I'll do my best to read what you guys are saying in the chat if that is the way we want to go about this. Okay, so productions from your perspective, from your experience, how was your experience?
Um, okay, I try to make the best of my experience, you know, for the carnival because my whole purpose is been in one in the community is promoting soca. Anybody knows that, anybody knows me, knows that is my whole goal, promote soca as well as the Caribbean culture. So, that is my whole purpose. That's my whole goal in the Montreal community. Now, I wasn't really invited, or no, I won't lie, that's a lie. In the beginning, before they got the the carnival, yes, I was invited to join them. I think that was in December. But then afterwards, after they got the carnival, we never had any discussions pertaining that, me being a part of them. But I remember I did address the what is proper I Chris, let me call him Chris. I did address Chris about being part of the kiddies when I heard the group with Jason, the ULCA, I think,
Mm-hmm.
fell out. I
Right.
did approach him and tell him that, I give them an invitation that I'm willing to help them in any way with the kiddies, and after what happened with the kiddies, I was disappointed about the fact that what happened, and I was willing to help them. But
Yeah.
then today now, I had a discussion with him and he apologized. He said it was his oversight. He didn't he didn't really the message wasn't carry on to the bigger heads. So he did apologize for that and he said it was an oversight. Now, where the parade is concerned, I went with the intention just to have fun. There was events on Friday nights. I went bam, run from TNT one Montreal, had a truck on the road and they invited me to come and, host the truck and stuff. And I did went on the truck. I did went to the truck and we try our best to make the best of the situation, despite the truck was the last truck that came, and then we had issues with the generator because there wasn't anyone in charge of that to show us what to do with the breaker. Because when we finally got to put on the generator, we didn't know the switches for the breaker, and then it took us a while playing around troubleshooting to figure that out, and we did figure it out and then we made the best of what we can make on the road. They was rushing us. They told us this: if we don't move, we not really basically gonna continue. So we had to go driving, troubleshooting the
Wow.
breaker,
I didn't
and
know that.
yeah. And then afterwards, then the parade. After the parade, yes, it was short after the parade that afterwards. My intention was just to go and just take in the sizzle, they call it, right? But then afterwards, Eddie Charles, Eddie Charles from Trinidad,
Mhm.
I saw him and he was supposed to go perform. So he called me and tell me to play for him because I'm well versed with that. And I played for him and it was very hype. I think that video is actually going viral with Eddie Charles performing. And then afterwards, I stayed a little bit and I left. So that what actually happened on the
Mhm.
day.
Right. So
Now,
that was your.
now my thoughts now on that. I don't want to take that to a side.
No, no, go
now
ahead. We're
my
here. Yeah,
yeah,
and
now
actually,
my
I'm glad you're saying that, guys. Because we're gonna go till 9:30. We'll spend an hour together, and then just to manage time, just so you guys know, manage your expectations. All right, we're here till 9:30. All right, go ahead.
yeah. So that one actually transpired. That one actually went down for my weekend. Now, pertaining the my thoughts. Yeah, no. My thought on this whole thing is that yes, a lot of stuff could have been done to be improved. A lot of stuff could have been done to be improved. But then afterwards, it's like we have to give them two. Listen, I've been getting a lot of inboxes. I'll be honest. A lot of people telling me, "Oh, production, you are a voice of the community. You have community, the community contact. You need to be honest and tell them and say what it is and how it is." But then, okay, the CCFA. I will be honest, I will be straight out. The CCFA, the president was very arrogant. He wasn't willing to listen to nothing. His way or no way, and that's why I voice a lot of my opinion and my thoughts on the community contact. And we had it out. Up to today, he take it personal. Me, if I see I have nothing against him, but he take it personal. But I just been speaking for the community a lot on the community contact. But we had our time. We back and forth, back and forth. I've been saying what the community been saying, and he didn't like that. Now I want to give this group a chance, but then at the same time, we talk about me and you talk about accountability, you know. They have to like hopefully they're gonna have a meeting and say everything, but I kinda want to give them a chance. I kinda want to give them a chance. And because give them the benefit of the doubt because they got this last minute and we do not know exactly what happened behind the scenes. They should make us know that. That's what they should know. I told you before I was upset that I offer my help for the kiddies, and then afterwards this transpire, you know. They could have said in production, you want to complain in production, do you have an extra speaker in production? Can you help us with the generator for the kiddies in production? They could have said anything like that, but they didn't. But then afterwards, Chris mentioned today that it was an oversight of his and he apologized for it. So as I say, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. So that's my thoughts so far. Just hitting the surface. We could go deeper as questions come and other people talk, but that's the surface right now.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing your experience. Very straightforward. Yes, that was awesome. The I won't ask any questions. I'll see first if anybody had did anybody have any questions, or now would somebody else like to share what their experience is like from their vantage point, whether it be a mask maker, whether it be a participant, just a member of the community from the outside. Is there any questions, concerns, comments that you guys have?
Hi,
Hey, Kay.
what's going on?
Good.
Um, I mean, as I already voiced my opinion on a platform.
Mhm.
I'm glad that Production Sounds is here because I have I'm curious because it seems like when questions were posed to Carimas, it was always an excuse of why this wasn't done or why that wasn't done. And the big blame that I got when I saw the parade and I voiced my opinion was the city. The city is to blame for the time being cut. The city is to blame for the place where they are. The city is to blame for the short amount of time that they had. And for me, I believe that this is a new organization. We have to give it a chance. I agree 100% that we have to give it a chance. But in terms of accountability, if you're creating a platform where you want members and you want volunteers and you want people to be a part of this, you have to give the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you look on their platform, all you're seeing is positive aspects. You have to give the good and the bad with everything. And the good and the bad is not given, right? There are people who have voiced their concerns about the negative things and tagged Carrie Mass, and they have refused to put it on the wall. They're only putting the positive stuff on the wall. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be that, and I'm speaking for myself. Carrie Mass came with a very big agenda on what they were going to do to make this bigger and make this better, and they did not hold up their end of the bargain. So where is their address to the public? Where is their what their ideas were, how everything came into fruition? Nothing is being discussed. And Production Son, I just have a question for you. If you talk to Chris and you were able to give your expertise of your DJing or whatever it is that you do, Kitty's Carnival, and it was an oversight, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, production. And it was an oversight when they were, and I'm not trying to be funny, guys, but an oversight of a DJ that was willing to offer his time instead of them playing music off of YouTube Music and Spotify. Come on, production sounds like it's always an excuse. I'm tired of the excuses. It's always an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always, it'll be better next year. It'll be better next year. Why must we continue to take garbage and garbage and garbage and nothing is done properly? If these guys don't know, if these guys, because the other talks is they didn't know what they were doing. If they didn't know what they were doing and they have people that are willing to offer the help, and then you come and say it was an oversight, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Well said.
Can I intervene a sec here, please?
Yeah,
Sure.
go ahead. I'm gonna mute myself. Go ahead.
Okay, what you said there is okay because I was talking to Pharaoh last week and he was saying too that he offer a lot of help and he offer whatever to work with them and offer things. So me, I haven't really had much encounters with them. You know, it's just I was disappointed with that kiddies. I was, and I tell him that straight up. I was. But but if this is really happening, that people is offering help and they are not taking it, and then there's disasters after, something is wrong there. You know, but then you have to remember, I told Pharaoh last year that me personally, I don't have a problem with Mark Henry as an individual. I don't have I don't have a problem with Chris as an individual. But then too, there's sometimes, let's say I can be probably talking to Chris cool and things can be talking cool, but then I don't know about the overheads, where he's getting instructions from or whatever. So it's the whole team. We do not know the whole network. We need accountability. We need transparency to know what exactly going on, to know who is the bad apple, if there is a bad apple, and
Mm-hmm.
to know exactly is going on. That's what we need. It basically accountability, as me and Pharaoh talked last week. Like we need to see what's going on, hear what's going on. That's what I believe should happen.
I think one of the just to share a little bit of my perspective, I think one of the challenges that we have is their the like I think Kai just said it was their lack of experience. But why it's that's a problem for us as a community is that they shouldn't have applied if they didn't know what they're doing. Like that's to me that's the first problem because it's not like you're raising your hand to say I'm going to help put on a birthday party or I'm going to help put on an association event. You're volunteering, you're raising your hand, you're requesting money from the city, you're saying that you have the capacity to host the Montreal Caribbean Carnival. You could do it better than the other organization, and you can do it. So which means that you had to submit, you had to apply, you had to get that approved by the city. So now, if you did that in December, shouldn't you have had the capacity to do it? And then if you didn't, why didn't you apply? And so why did you apply? And now after the fact, when now the things it is what it is, like like who who should be taking responsibility for this? Like so we should just be like, well, okay, you applied, you weren't qualified for the job, but you took the job. You weren't qualified to manage anything, but you took the money from the city and then you ask people to donate to support what you guys are doing, but the whole time you have no clue what you're doing. Like in real business, that's a problem. You can actually be sued for that. If you take money from me and you actually cannot fulfill the task, I could actually sue you for this. So now as a community, cool. We're not trying to sue anybody. Great. But we have, in my opinion, I just feel that there should be a certain standard to what we're expecting in terms of our Caribbean Carnival presentation. And
Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, let me be a little devil advocate right now.
Yeah, please.
Let's say they probably say, okay, they don't have this, but they did tell me that too in December. That no, they don't really have much experience with carnival. So let's say didn't have the experience, right? Let's say they did sign the application and they did it because they just wanted to have a carnival, right? Because in case of like we lose it again, let's say they do it just because of that. We just saying if
Yeah.
they do it because just to guarantee we have a carnival and they know they don't have the experience, they should at least align themselves with people who has experience or contact people who has experience and work with people who has experience. Because me, I wasn't, nobody came to knocking on my door. People know I travel. People know I go to the carnival every year. There's a lot of people who do mass. I don't know if there was like they hit them up to say, okay, bam, I don't know where that is concerned, but they should have at least tried to probably create a team that has experience. Or maybe they did think that they created a team that had experience, that were the team with Jason and all of them, and then afterwards they decided to drop out. So I didn't know exactly what went on. Well, all we could do is basically assume. But if they knowing that they didn't have the experience, they should have tried to align themselves with people that has experience to help them or guide them. I believe so.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. I think that that would have been the logical thing, to at least to collaborate with people who have the experience. Um, yeah, that probably would have been the best thing concerning like, and that is another big question I think a lot of people have is this group with Jason Forbes, like Yoko, that had stepped up, and according to what we read and what we heard and what we saw in TV and all the news, is that they were responsible for the carnival and for the junior carnival. So now for them to pull out a month before, again, I'm trying to figure out, and then they pulled out because of integrity, but it's just odd. So again, like we're not here to speculate because we don't really know what the situation was concerning Carimas, and like I shared with you guys last week, like it's not that if they didn't apply, there wasn't any other group applying, because like I shared, we had formed a collective of individuals and we had to reach out to them to join our collective to put together the carnival. So it's when they said that they wanted to do it and they were adamant about not collaborating, we withdrew our application so that they would be the only like application to be considered, which would have given them at least from December until June to put together the festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
So although the CCFA was applying, we know that, but like I had shared, it's like the likelihood of CCFA getting it was pretty unlikely. So there was, when we're saying that they didn't have time, they applied since December, and they knew they were the only people doing the carnival. So for the community to be like they had time, give them another chance, like what how much they had since December, and that's what they produced from December. So now, how much more time? So we want to give them an extra 3 months. Is that what we're saying? Because we think in an extra 3 or 4 months they're going to make a big difference. And I'm asking the question: if the general consensus is, hey, let's give them another chance to do it, cool. I'll respect that. Um, Personally, I just find that it was insulting what they did. It was insulting to the culture. It was insulting to the community at large. Like the fact that you had masqueraders like paying money to be a part of a band, and then like there was like just that basic structure in terms of music, like generator truck, like some kind of security so that the band could at least have like a bit of notoriety, like to be recognized as a band, like those basic things we didn't see. Like what from what we had seen, I guess from the outside looking in, it just looked like a street party because obviously the revelers outnumbered the bands and the band and the people in costumes. So now, so how does that help the band leaders? Like, how does that help them to sell their costumes? How does that help to encourage them for the next year when they just lose completely? Like, how does the kiddies? How does that impact the band leaders who really came out of pocket to bring something for the children and it wasn't respected at all? So I'm like you said, I have nothing against all the individuals who are part of the coalition, but if they're not going to take the time, uh, that the time, because that's really what it was. Like it didn't even to put on the kiddies. It's not even like it was expensive, but it was clear from anybody looking in. You guys didn't put time into this. You guys didn't make it a point. Like any event before the people got there, we would normally check the sound, check the generators, check the make sure because we actually care about what happens when people show up like how can they say that they've been working when they put out the press release in April and we saw Chris on the news, he said they've been working on it for 8 to 9 months. So that means since August, September, you guys been working on this. And that's what they said. That's not off of what, like, we're not speculating. That's what they said. So I'll digress. I would love to hear other people's opinions, thoughts, what your experiences were. And then if we want to just share some potential ideas and solutions in terms of what could help, and that could be our session for this evening. Did anybody else want to share your experiences? Brian, thank you. Yes, the floor is yours. Sorry, sorry.
No, I'm on mute.
You're off mute
Can
now.
you unmute me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, good, thanks. All right. No, well, I did not go to the carnival, but I guess a concern that I have is that moving forward, so the carnival is over, but all the structures that are in place to, one, apply for the permit, all the stuff that we went through this year, I foresee that's gonna probably take place again next year, where the CCFA is still active and alive. I'm only going to assume that they were going to put in an application to the city. I assume that this Carimas coalition is going to put in an application to the city, and we're going to kind of go down the same route again. Like there's going to be competition. I really think that the Carimas group, that since they put on the festival this year, you know, the good and the bad, but we as a community have to find a way, when they're talking about working together, all of the factions really, I mean, you know, it's, I'm going to call it childish, but we have to find a way for all of these three groups now to come together, 3 groups, 4 groups, whoever wants to get involved, to put something together. Because one thing that is evident is that the money, and I think people always have an issue discussing the money, the pittance that the city gives to the carnival is ridiculous. And as far as looking as far as what the Carimas raised on their website, I don't know if there's other monies to come in, but you see that, you know, there was a lot of budget slashing there. You know, you could, and it's evident what was like with the trucks and things like that. We need to there needs to be some type of plan to together that funds can be raised so a proper carnival could be put together. You know, I'm not going to talk much about the Carimas group. They had an effort. You know, I kind of maybe lead it up to lack of experience, because most of the groups there have never put on an event before. So, you know, the good intention was there, and I would just hope to feel that, you know, as I said, something as simple as just working together. I think that, you know, I'm talking about the community. The community needs to benefit, and the time and the resources that we all have, bringing in the Haitian community, the French community, all that type of, these are minor things that we could do, but once again, the right people have to be at the table, you know?
I agree. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That makes a lot of sense. And anybody else who has anything else you'd like to share, thoughts, please feel free to raise your hand. I feel that like honestly, I don't know if anybody here is, well, maybe Kai, you know, from the CCFA side, but the structure, is the organization still operational? Do you know?
Yes, the organization is still operational, but they're trying to find, and I'm just speaking from just being a member. I can't give you the full.
Mm-hmm.
It's still operational, but I think that when the the permit went to Carimas, I think it was kind of CCFA was kind of put on a delay, and
Okay.
they kind of took a step back.
Okay.
And so in regards to them applying for next year, I don't know
Okay.
for them for them applying for next year. You know,
Yeah.
I've listened to what Brian is saying, and I understand where um Brian is coming from, but it for me personally, my opinion, it's, and as production sound said earlier too, it's too many egos of, you know, and too many different characteristics of, like, to try to get all those three groups together is, I know it would be the best solution, but it's too many, it's too much bickering and division between everybody for them to come together. So like my whole thing about it is just I understand that Carimas, it was a lack of knowledge, but I know firsthand that help was offered to them. Help was offered to them, and it was a how do I say it, a quote unquote miscommunication, and certain people didn't get um to hear certain thoughts or this and that. And this is my point again that I'm putting out there is who is the main person that is going to the city to talk for Carimas,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Like there has to be one general person that oversees when they went to the city that signed their names to get the permit to hold the parade. You know, like
Well, that person would be the I mean, we're talking just like officially, the
yeah,
Barbados House is the organization that submitted the request. So I mean, any
I,
type of,
Oh,
whatever,
I'm sorry about that. Is there a president of or is it like a
yes,
coalition with
there is. There's Cynthia Waith is the president and Chris A. Bennett is vice president. So
is vice
they
president?
put, yes, and they put in the documentation for the carry
So
mass.
so they're basically, let's say, the president and the vice president of Carimas.
no,
Not
no,
necessarily,
no,
yeah,
no,
not necessarily. So an organization has to be running for like at least a year or two to
Okay.
even like really determine like who is president. You know what I mean? Like this is a
Right.
very new organization. You can't just have an organization for like 2 months and say, hey, you're president. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
But also,
it's to be determined like in the future. It takes time to
Yeah.
build members. You can't just
Yeah.
have members and membership fees like
Yeah.
right away. This is
Yeah.
something that takes your organization has to exist for at least a year or two before you can
Yeah.
even get to that point, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they put in the paperwork, but there's no like official
So
president.
I'm just asking because
Mhm.
there were talks before the parade was canceled last year and before CCFA had control of the parade. There were talks of different organizations that were coming together to try and to have a chance to do it, like maybe 2 or 3 years prior to this. So this is why I'm asking, because I thought Carrie Mass was established like
No.
for more.
Let's say Carimas is just a brand, right? It's just a brand. The Caribbean Coalition Network, which also is not an organization, but it's just a collective of community organizations who have come together. So Carimas is just like Caribbean. It's just a name. It's just
Oh,
a
it's just a
brand.
name. Okay,
It's
I
just a
understand.
name. The
And
It's
Caribbean
just a
Coalition
name.
Network.
It was being this whole carry mass is being organized by the presidents, vice presidents of different organizations like the Caribbean Coalition.
okay,
And I'm
and what?
sorry, you guys, I have to say I'm so sorry. My computer is bugging out and I can't raise my hand. So if it sounds like I'm interrupting, like I can't raise my hand on this thing. Sorry, guys.
So I just had another question because I just want to be more educated on because I was a part of CCFA. So when they go in, it's just like there's a board, but there's the head of the board that goes in and has the conversation with the city. So I'm just so I could be well educated. Is Barbados House, Cynthia and Chris were the ones who talked to the city, who signed the forms for the city, who had the conversations with the city? Or was it like a group like that came together and went into the meeting with the city?
great question.
I can actually answer that for you. This is Raquel, and I'm sorry, I can't. I'm on the cell phone and I can't find where to raise my hand.
That's what I'm saying. It's
sorry.
like they took it away.
Yeah. So, So what I wanted to do is I just actually wanted to correct a couple of things that was said in terms of the coalition and Barbados House.
Okay.
It was the city that actually came to Jamaica Association, because Jamaica Association has been the longest running association out of all of our Caribbean associations. And they kind of put it forward that they wanted the community to come together. And this is how the CCNM actually started, where the Jamaica Association went to other organizations from the Caribbean community and asked them if they would join the coalition and sort of work together as one. Now, Cynthia Waite and Chris Bennett are vice president and vice president of Barbados House, and Mark Henry is the president, and Sharon Nelson is the vice president of Jamaica Association.
Okay.
So in terms of how Carimas seem to have come about in regards to them putting in the bid or the request for it, was because now they are a collective coalition of all of the, you know, the existing Caribbean island associations. The city asked them if they would you know, put in a bid to actually have the Carimas or the carnival or whatever you want to call it, because now it's underneath a different name, back given back to the community. They agreed to do that.
Okay.
So the coalition wasn't created for Carimas. The coalition was created in order to bring the Caribbean English-speaking Caribbean community associations together. That was the reason why the coalition was created. And Carimas just fell in their lap because of the fact that the city felt that CCFA had too many issues and they did not want to deal with the issues anymore.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Carimas is just a brand. It's just a name. It's just a name. It doesn't. It's just like just a brand. It doesn't. It's just the brand of the carnival. They chose to call it Carimas. So
Had to come up, they had to come up with a new name.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
what I'm just saying though, right, is that officially the organization that submitted the request to the city was the Barbados House. It's like it's documented. It's not like a if, and, or buts. It's the Barbados House. That's it.
So
There's
sorry to interrupt you, Brian. So
Yeah.
so I could have clarification. Barbados House, which is Cynthia and Chris, are the ones who are the faces who made the request to the city for the proposal for the parade.
They didn't make the request. They put in the paperwork on behalf of the coalition.
Yeah, because
the thing is,
what I'm asking,
a nonprofit organization has to submit a request to the city for whatever, for funding. So it was chosen by I don't know if it was chosen by what the coalition decided that the Barbados House will make the request. I don't know why Barbados House was chosen.
No, they didn't. No,
Excuse me?
unfortunately, they didn't.
Who?
The reason why Barbados House is the one that is quote unquote on the books is because Barbados House has an NEQ number.
Okay.
That is the reason why Barbados House is sort of the one
But the
on
Jamaica
paper.
Association has an NEQ. All the organizations there have an NEQ number.
And both of their NEQ numbers are on the paperwork, because both Jamaica Association and Barbados House is responsible for the carnival. It's not just Barbados House.
It's just Barbados House. It's on the City of Montreal's website. I mean, I'm not gonna like Raquel, I'm not gonna like debate it. It's the Barbados House is the organization that submitted the request. So legally,
yeah, legal.
Barbados House it's
the
Barbados House. It's
yeah,
not
it's
not
legal,
Barbados House
legally.
and Jamaica
Legally, it's
Association.
Barbados House. You know, like
but the agreement was made because the agreement was made that Barbados House would use their NEQ number between the two of them. It was agreed by the coalition that Barbados House would use their NEQ number.
And
So
sorry, guys.
it's not.
Exactly,
And
exactly. So
just
this means,
sorry.
can I just say something? So then
Okay, sure.
this fully means that legally Barbados House is responsible. You
So
understand what I'm saying? So like the Jamaica Association, the Grenada Association, Dominican Republic, like everybody else, they still have different roles and duties and responsibilities. But at the end of the day, because they put in the paperwork and they're using Barbados House's number, then it's their responsibility. You know what I mean? Legally, we're
I have a
talking
quick question.
legally.
Just quick question. So
Yes.
just to manage time properly and stuff. The reason
Yes.
we want to get to the bottom of this, what's the reason? Just so I'm clear. Like, why do we want to know who is legally?
That was what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
That
Just so
was what I was gonna ask. Why is it important?
Well,
No,
Kai, nobody said it was like very important, but Kai
Well,
did ask the question. She asked who is the face of this Carimas, like who's responsible, who put in the paperwork. So this is why the question came up, right?
I just wanted to know so I could have been
Yeah.
educated. Like, who was the
no, but
face?
and it's important. I would say that it's important, right? Because it's public funds, right? So it's important that even moving forward, that people like we're talking about building the trust with the community. It's important, I think, that the general public knows exactly what's happening, so that there's transparency that's there. I mean, this year, because of time limits, constraints, confusion, people don't know what's going on. There's still a lot of kind of gray areas about like what's really going on. And I
And
don't think
But
that let me finish, please. I don't think that we're the carnival itself, whoever is going to be doing it, is ever going to get the full support from the community, full support from sponsorship, until people know exactly what is going on.
but
And that could be just because of miscommunication, lack of communication. People don't know what's happening. So it's just these things that need to be improved on.
sorry,
but I
and
don't understand. What exactly
that's
would you like to know?
are you asking the question to me?
Or anybody. I would like to understand what you're saying, that the community needs to be informed and the community needs to know. What would the community like to know? You
I
want to
think
know all of the bad
well,
things? You want to
I
know
could
all
say
of the
this.
struggles?
I could
No,
no,
You want to
I could say this. I could say this. The community would. Or you know what? I'm not going to talk about the community. I'll speak about myself. I would say that I would like to know, one, why decisions were made, why decisions were not made. I think that on a financial tip, I would like to know if there's going to be a post-mortem to show that if the carnival was successfully financially, was it not? If there's a debt, how much the debt was. These are kind of basic things, because we're talking about a non-profit structure. So whether it
but
be whether it be the carnival, whether it be the jazz festival, these informations should be made public. And that's a responsibility, because production was talking about accountability. All of that is a part of accountability, and they should not, any organization should not be hesitant when asked about these documents, because you know what, you present it,
so,
and you move
so
and you
why
keep
don't
it
you give
moving.
them the time to do that though? So why don't you give them
I'm
the time to
expecting
do that though?
but I'm expecting that would come forth. I mean, listen, the carnival just finished on Sunday. I'm expecting that there would be some type of post-mortem.
Of
That's kind of
course.
basically.
can I interject?
Can I and then Farrell, can I go after, please?
Sure. So,
Thank
and actually,
you.
I'm just again to respect everybody's time. So it's looking like we have a couple more things to say. I'm okay to go till 10 o'clock. Another half hour maximum. So we could just, if we can, finish just expressing our thoughts and then go towards more, let's think solutions, like how we, what positive things we kind of want to see happen, what we want to see happen, what our thoughts are. I could also just share from, I guess, more of an administrative, like kind of how things, how we got to this point, so to speak. But first, I'd like to hear Afia, what your thoughts are.
Sorry, there's just like so much going on. Like My thing is it does take a lot of time. So when you know the community, the public, they're asking for specific documents and the finances, and you know, like it does take time. Like Raquel was saying, it takes time to organize these documents, and also to you know, you have to be a member. I don't, me personally, I don't think all of these things should be released to the public, like for everybody
Thank you.
to like see. Okay, this is
Agreed.
why you have a treasurer, this is why you have a secretary, and this is why they close accounts and they report to you know, back to the city or whatever, certain documents. Okay, so you know, those type of reports, it's like if you have an organization, you're not releasing all your numbers to the public. This is what I'm seeing. So why is it different for Carimas? And I also have
Exactly.
to the other thing I have to correct is that CCFA is not alive. Okay, it is very much so dead, and I do not see them applying again. So that's just my opinion about that. And moving forward, I think what we need to see is just give it a chance, give them a chance to get it together. There's no organization, I wouldn't say no organization, but there's a lot of organizations that do not have any, they don't have the experience to put on such a big production. There's a lot of you in here right now in this chat. We've put on events. We put on many events. We've been behind the stage. We've been in the stage. We've been a masquerader. We've done a lot of different things. But in a whole, like, please name me which organization has put on an event on that scale.
Well, I could chime
We
in.
had 10,000.
I
There
could
was
chime in.
about 10,000 people at the park. So
Can
who
I-
would be capable? Who's
Sorry.
capable of doing that?
Can I chime in?
It's a free event.
Sorry to interrupt. I just because I think that it went, I don't think anybody was talking about them showing the finances. I think
Yes, they were. Brian mentioned it.
No, but
He
here,
said-
Kai,
yeah.
Wait, one voice, please, guys. One voice.
Okay, Kai, can I just say something, please?
if I could just finish, just 2
All right,
seconds.
okay.
The only thing that I was asking was what was the proposal that was brought forth to the city. And I just wanted to know if it was a group that went in to discuss it with the city, like of all the members of the coalition, as you guys say, or if it was just one entity.
I believe it was a group. I believe it was
Okay.
It was a group with Mark Henry. It was Cynthia Waits.
Okay.
And it was Chris Bennett and Sharon Nelson. So all four of them were able to actually go to the city and sit down with them in regards to hashing out, you know, the application and what the expectation of the Carimas would be this year.
Okay.
And okay, and sorry. I'm gonna stop talking. And after they did that, was an agreement made and signed of what they were going to give, what was going to be taken care of by the city? I mean, in terms of like the amount of time that they had on the road, the kilometers that they got to do for the parade, like things of that nature. Was anything written and signed that it was agreement between?
I would say
So
usually
this
the
is
city
what
when they
happened, because I know facts. This is what happened when they
Okay.
went to the city, and the city they agreed on that they were going to run the Carimas. They had multiple meetings with the city. There is massive construction downtown. Every time the city gave them a route and gave them a kilometer amount, they came back and they changed it. They came back and they changed it almost 6 times until the last time, because the last time is that one is an emergency corridor. So that's why we had said Viger and Saint Laurent, and that is an emergency corridor that they have to keep open by that hospital that's down there off of Viger. So that was another reason why it was changed. But the level of construction that was going on, this is the reason why it was changed. So the city just kept on coming back. So nothing was agreed to in stone because the city kept changing the route and how long we would be able to have it and where would we be able to start. Like
Okay,
there was
can I
nothing
give
that
sorry, go
the
ahead.
coalition could say about it.
Okay,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
could give a different perspective. Because Raquel, I'm not too sure exactly how the details, like where you got them from. Or actually, well, maybe can you clarify where you got the your details from?
I got the details from the committee themselves
Okay,
because
so
I wanted to know what was going on as well. I got the details directly from them that based on construction and the movement of the construction downtown, this was the reason why the route kept on changing.
okay, so I'll share a different perspective with you guys. Just because I was one of the groups that applied for to do the parade. So we do also have a different perspective in terms of how this thing went down. So the city, when the carnival was being canceled, like in May of last year, the city, Gedwig himself, from the city, from Rally Plant's party, had reached out to a lot of different people. So he had reached out to the coalition, to Mark, he had reached out to Jason, he had reached out to me, he had reached out to Group 3737. And the goal was to get somebody to say that they're willing to put on this carnival. And at the time, we were actually even trying to see if we could mobilize and come together to do the same 2023 carnival. Sorry. But then after speaking with Erica, she made it very clear that there's no way that this carnival is coming out this year. So you guys just leave it alone. With that being the case, then the groups came, the three groups, CCFA, Carifet, and Carimas, were the three groups that seemed to kind of immerse itself or whatever, stand out to say we want to apply to do the parade. Now, when applying to do the parade, you have to first you're applying for the permit, and what the city did is they attached the permit and the funding together. But in normal circumstances, you could actually apply for the permit separately than the funding, but I'll save you all that extra. But the way it works is that they attach the permit and the application together. They give all the approvals usually all around the same time, so all in April is where we all seen. When you're submitting to do the parade, for you to actually get it, you actually have to submit your route. You have to submit you have to submit 3 routes to show that you did your due diligence and you know what route you want to take. They even recommend that you
And
have
they denied all of their routes.
but again, I
They
was gonna finish.
denied all
But
three
sister,
of the routes.
okay, so I know you can't raise your hand, but if you could just at least let me finish the point, just to avoid us talking on each other. But again, even with the city denying the route, them denying the route, it was the organization's responsibility to work with an engineer to do that homework. So they should know which routes are actual proper routes that they could use, right? But again, understanding that they had a lack of experience, okay, but I'm not giving them a blind for that because that's just if you do some homework, you find out, you connect with other people, you connect with the gay parade, you connect with people who put on parades to find out what are the logistics, what do we actually need to do to put on something to this caliber, right? You can't just guess it because you have people's lives at risk, you have people's money that you're handling. So you should actually take the time to do your homework and do your diligence. So now the route and the fact that they kept changing this, down, the third, whatever the case, that's not the fault of the city. That's the fault of the organization, right? Because it's the city now has to do what they can to try to work with us because we didn't come correct, right? So it's not that the city, was pulling our strings. It said we didn't come correct, so they had to continue to finagle with us to be able to get a route going on the road. Okay,
How
so
is that? How is that blaming? How does the root fall on the responsibility and the blame of the organization?
because it's your
When it's
when
the
you when
city,
you're
it's the city that
no,
grants
but sister,
where
I'm
you're
explaining
going
it.
to have the routes.
No, it's you. You have to come to the city with your plan, right? And then the city could tell you, yeah, the plan works or plan doesn't work. Now, in this particular case, with the Carimas, technically, I'm pretty sure if there was if our application maybe stayed, it would have been a different story. But because
But
we
it,
went
it didn't.
Right, but when we withdrew our application because Carimas refused to come together because our application went in October, right? So
Right.
we resubmitted the plan, the map, the budget, the whole nine since October, right? And our route was a lot longer than what we had. The budget was a lot higher. We had a lot of partners, but because the city explained to us how it works, they said no matter what, if you guys don't have cohesion as a community, anybody could apply to do the permit. Anybody could get it. And then because you don't have cohesion, you will only know who actually gets the permit in April. So that's when we said to the coalition, and we said, well, guys, if we do this, we both lose. It's better that we work together because if if we both apply, then we don't know who is getting it. So either one group has to work for free, not knowing if they're going to get the parade at the end of the day, or we're going to have to deliver a shit product to the city because we didn't have time to actually put it together. And it was the coalition's choice to do what they're doing. So when they said we want to go ahead and do it anyways, although we had submitted way before them, we withdrew our application because we're like, we're not going to battle you guys. We're not just basically, if you guys are going to do it, take the lead and do it, please. Just do it properly. And so we withdrew and we told them, guys, no one else has the lead. So you guys should go ahead and start to plan your parade. We told them this in December. So of course, I'm personally going to be really annoyed because it's like, well, guys, you stopped us from doing it. You said you guys wanted to do it. We bowed out, gave you guys the lead to do it, and this is what you presented to the community.
Yeah, Pharaoh, I just wanted to say something real quick
Yeah,
because I'm gonna have to log off, and it's just for everybody who's listening here. Okay, everything, everything, it begins and it starts with a dollar. The carnival, in whatever capacity, it takes money to run. We all know that the carnival has been running on a minuscule, whatever you want to call it, whatever, life saving or what. There's been no money coming from the city, from the provincial, from the federal, from the private. Okay. So how do you expect to get money from sponsors and things like that? Your finances, I'm going to just bring it back up. And I'm not saying, I want to know the finances right away, but you have to have your finances in check. I work with sponsors, multi-million-dollar companies, right, who have money to give to events and things like that. The first thing they're going to ask is this, let's see your financial report. How, if they want a bang for their buck, right? And this year, there was so many challenges to raise money. So people, organizations, I'm going to say non-profit organizations, they say your whole governance. When somebody asks you, can we see your financial reports? You should not be trembling or say, why do you want to see it? If I'm an agent for a sponsor and I ask for a financial report and there's some hesitation, I'm going to go the other way because people are not throwing money away. Plus, that money that's coming into the structure, they want to know that money is going to be well spent. So you want to develop a healthy relationship with your community, with your sponsors, right? So, and also too, when you present the report to the community, people will look at it. You can critique it. You could say, well, people ask questions, and you keep it moving. This is not it, and the entity is not a private. It's not a personal thing, but it's a community structure. So that's why I'm saying if people from the community, like we're doing here tonight, we're just having a discussion. Nobody should feel offended or anything like that because we're just asking questions. It's not somebody's personal private business. And we all here taking our time, I think we all want to see a carnival project that is well run, well financed, well administrated, and the whole creativity behind it. What took place this weekend, I can't say because I was not there. And I'll tell you this, I haven't been to Carnival in 20 years, right? Because it's just not me. But I like the community to develop and do things like that. And I will support it how I can. But I think the main challenge, and I'm going to say it again, is that we have entities that are there. The CCFA is still much alive, right? On paper, they're alive. There's other entities. We were talking about how we're going to bring the Haitian community in who basically want to get involved. So what should take place as of today, as we get off the phone? Somebody, group, whatever, this and that, maybe put together a project and see how they're going to pull all of these things together. It might take multiple meetings, people checking their ego and stuff like that. I'll tell you historically how things work in our Black community. If the federal government came tomorrow and said, you know what, we have $1 million to put into a carnival project in the city of Montreal, but everybody has to work together, you will see how fast people will come together. That's how things work. When there's money on the line, people will come together. When there's no money, I don't know. There's more confusion, secrecy, stress. People get sick.
So the thing is that Carimas is not quivering to show any of the financials. They need time in order to do that. And then my last question before I log off is, did you do this for CCFA? Did you act like this with CCFA? Did you demand all of these things from CCFA? Did you demand that they do this, what you're asking them for?
I demand
and
that.
did they do it?
I demand that to
Yeah.
any organization that I work with.
How many years
that.
did CCFA have Cara Fiesta? How
Yeah,
many
no.
years did they have Cara Fiesta?
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I know
Did they do
there
this?
was there
Did
was a
they
lot of
give you
questions.
what you
But,
wanted?
yeah, no, but there was a lot of
Did they
questions to
give you
CCFA
all of
too.
what you are asking for? Did they
No,
give the community all you are asking for?
And you know what? When you don't give it to the community, what happens? People lack of trust.
yeah,
Lack of
so
trust.
they didn't.
You have to
But
present.
Yes,
so
but
You
this
want
is
to create
and
Carimas'
sorry, wait,
first
sorry guys,
time.
sorry,
It's
just
their
to manage
first
the time.
time.
Right, but yeah, so just to manage the time. So if we can now just use just the couple minutes left just to more focus on solutions. I like where Brian was going with this. It's not like I think we all have we all have our personal opinions. Those who, like who feel that what
Can I also just say something
is it
in
towards solutions?
response to that?
Okay.
So, when you're demanding questions to a specific organization, that is new, by the way. Carimas is a new
not
organization.
demanding, asking, please.
Well,
Please don't put words. We're
asking,
just
okay,
asking. We're just
okay,
asking, not demanding.
asking, but there was a town hall meeting, and everybody got to ask whatever questions as they wished if they logged in, and they gave that to the public. So it's just moving forward. I think what needs to happen is try to encourage and support, and try to push them, try to lift them up. For me personally, I think a lot of things that's going on is putting them down, putting organizations down. And I'm talking about multiple organizations, not just this one. But in order for us to come as a community, we have to be more positive and stop with this pointing fingers. You know what I mean? Whose fault is this and whose fault is that?
Well, I appreciate that. So what you're saying, so your suggestion?
People have to be accountable. Listen, I understand people have to be accountable, and there's some responsibilities because they put in certain papers, but due to the circumstances, the city gives them $30,000. This is not not enough money. There's a lot of things.
But wait, sorry guys. Sorry to cut you. Let's just because that again, the city giving them $30,000. That's outside of the point. Like again, it's the
No, but
organization.
I'm just saying,
nothing to do with the budget, right?
the
But I'm just
expectations are so high, but
no, but
it's like
sister,
they were only told in May officially that they're running it. You
guys,
understand?
it's not true though. That's what I'm saying. I have a real hard time taking like all I want to do, ideally, I would just want to focus on going into solutions. But I really have a hard time with the dishonesty because it's not like
Yeah,
it's
but
not true.
okay,
It's not true.
so
It's not true that they only knew in May. That's not true. It's not true that
on
there's
paper,
no way.
yes. On paper, yes.
But why are we talking about on paper? We're talking about real life here. In real life,
Yeah,
they knew that they didn't have to wait until April or
yeah,
May.
yeah.
We
I'm
literally told them on multiple occasions, guys, you should start. We even offered to help. I even suggested funds that they should go after. Like, guys, I'm
Okay,
I'm
but
sorry
okay,
to be
so
getting annoyed. But look, all I'm
one other
so
thing.
I'm so sorry. I just want to say
Okay.
something. We're all fighting towards the same goal as you said, Tanisha. You understand?
Yeah.
And people are getting defensive. And people are getting passionate about what they love. You understand? But the way Brian is explaining it to you and the way Farah is explaining it to you guys, it's not an attack. And I feel like you guys are taking it as an attack. It's not an attack. It is simple things that needed to be followed that were not followed. So now that people are asking questions because they're curious about things, it's like, but why did they ask CCFA? They have asked CCFA for that, and I'm a part of CCFA's committee, and I'm going to tell you there are questions that CCFA did not answer, and there are questions that the community asked CCFA that they did not answer.
But how many
but
years? That's
hold
what
on,
my
Tanisha,
question is. It's
Tanisha,
yes.
hold on, let me finish. We have
It's
to be fair,
yes.
but we have to be fair. We have to be fair.
But we have to
These
be
guys,
fair.
they're
It's
not
1 year.
demanding.
This is the
But hold on,
first time.
Raquel,
can I
let her
finish?
finish.
Can I finish? We have to be fair in the sense of they're not demanding this stuff. They're asking for this stuff. They're asking for this stuff based on the principle of that it should have been done from the beginning. It doesn't matter if it's their first time, it's their 20th time. There are things that had to be followed that they did not follow that they need to be held accountable for. That is what people's frustration is
And
from.
what is that?
What do you
What
mean?
is
What
it,
is it?
honey?
But
What is
sister,
that?
I could list it. It's very simple. The first thing is that should
Tell
be
me.
shared is what did you guys apply to the city with? Like what did you actually propose? That's the
What was
first
the
thing I would like.
proposal?
Okay.
What was the actual proposal?
Okay.
Second, what was the operating budget that you put together to host all these events? What was your marketing
Okay.
plan? What was the plan that you had to engage and mobilize people for the 50th anniversary of the cultural presentation in the city? It's like it's not crazy what we're asking. We're asking simple questions like what did you guys submit? What was your plan? What
None
was
of
your
these
budget?
questions, none of these questions were asked. Like you guys did not ask those questions at the town hall meeting that they had.
You know what? I'm actually going to speak to
And
that.
I'm
Tanisha, I'm sorry to interrupt, right? I'm sorry to interrupt. But I can tell you, right, just like how you guys know information, I know information as well. And those questions were asked.
At the
And
town hall meeting.
Not at the town hall meeting, but the questions were asked before everything came. Questions were asked. And the response that we got was, well, we're waiting on the city, we're waiting on this, we're waiting on that. Questions were asked. And I'm going to tell you firsthand that questions were asked. This is why people's
but if they
frustration
don't
is.
know,
But that's what the problem is, sister.
But this is the point that we're trying to make. If they don't know, and it's their first time, and people are telling them, and people are offering them help to do it correctly, and it wasn't done correctly, then please explain to me who is to be held accountable. Because
Raquel,
we're here and we're.
Raquel, why would the Carimas group refuse help? I really find that very
This is the thing
puzzling.
that I'm trying to say.
It's puzzling to me.
but
It's
so
ludicrous. It's
so
actually
here's the
ludicrous.
thing. I don't think that the Carimas group actually I don't know that they outright refused help. They thought that they got the help that they needed. And then unfortunately, the people who had the experience ended up leaving before we could, the whole thing came to fruition. But but I think that they thought that they had enough of the help. But my other like concern is that you guys want, like, from what I'm taking from this is that you want to hear you want to hear the good, but why would you want to hear all the bad and the ugly? Why
I want to hear
would
everything.
any
I want to hear
organization
everything.
be like,
I want to hear
why would
everything.
any
The good, the bad, and the
organization
ugly.
be spewing their dirty laundry? Why would they
But
be
it's not
spewing
dirty.
their dirty laundry?
Wait,
But
Brian,
it's not
let
dirty
her finish that thought.
laundry.
Yeah.
Why
No,
dirty
but
laundry?
why would they be going on in a town hall? Why would they be going online to say we're having problems with this and we're having
No, but
problems with that?
Raquel,
How do you get help?
Create a
So
successful organization?
so
yes, Raquel.
I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. Raquel. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. So
Yeah.
when they went on their the page and they were asking for volunteers and they were asking for donations, do you consider that dirty laundry, that they couldn't do it and they needed the help from people? Do you consider that dirty laundry?
No, definitely. definitely not. But what I'm saying is that,
But
you know, the fact that
but
they're
sorry, that's genuinely asking for help, correct?
okay. Yes.
It is asking for help. So when they got to the point that the people that were supposed to help them couldn't help them anymore, why didn't they say, look, we need the help?
Mhm.
We need the help. Like, I understand that this is their first time, but just like how CCFA, and I will speak on behalf of CCFA because I was a part of it, just like how you guys were holding CCFA accountable for all the things that they were doing wrong, right?
Mhm.
And CCFA took it left, right, and center, is the same way that we're coming to you guys right now that Carimas needs to be held accountable for the things that they do. It cannot.
When it's year number 2 and when it's year number 3, I could totally agree with you. But this is year number 1.
Exactly.
This is
We're
year
not even,
number
it's not
1.
even a year.
Give
It's
them a
months.
chance.
I'm
saying-
sorry.
We're talking
I'm not
months.
saying this
expectation.
isn't good.
Listen,
Okay,
the expectation
Yeah.
that was put out,
Yeah.
the expectation that was put
Yeah.
out from Carimas
Yeah.
was not upheld.
Yeah.
yeah. So and
The
so if I could,
expectation that was put out was not
I
held.
agree with your feeling. I
If I could
agree
jump in.
with your feeling.
So then you can
There are
understand.
some
You
things
can
that
understand my.
there are
So then you
some
can
things
understand my frustration. You can understand my frustration
there are some
because
things I agree. Some things
Okay.
I agree. I'm just saying that they're just new. They're new. So give them a chance. Give them a month or 2 to get the financials and the paperwork together. Give them a month or 2 to be able to come and answer all of the questions. That's all I'm saying. We
yeah.
know that we
Okay,
could have had
so guys,
something
Okay,
longer.
can I
but
please
wait,
say
hold on.
something?
Are
Can I
we
say
just
something?
just so I'm
please?
clear on in terms of where we're going with these last 10 minutes?
Okay.
Did anybody have any solutions that they would like to propose? So right now, just in piecing what we're saying, I jotted down transparency. There was a bunch of questions that people like clarification for. It seems like we kind of
I
have
would
a
like
split.
I would like to say something in terms of like solution.
Okay,
And
so give me
I
one
think,
quick second. Just 1 second.
okay, sorry.
I finish recapping. So now, so where we are, I feel that there's somewhat of a mixed emotion between giving Carrie Mass the opportunity to do it again and not. And so if within the last couple of minutes, if we can just give our opinions on that, either by vote, just a one shot answer, yes, no. But it would be good to just to get a general gist, a consensus. Do we want to support this collective in doing it again based off of what we experienced? Yes or no?
Hello, may
Can I
Yeah,
say
actually,
one thing?
well, actually, Tanisha, if you could give Pat, because
Okay,
Pat
sorry,
hasn't been here,
go
just
ahead.
got in.
Go ahead.
sorry, folks. I really struggled with coming on this thing because it just sucked too much of
It's
my
auntie.
vibe. Yeah. No, I took it really, 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 really hard. And I want to speak to a couple things, and I don't want to suck up the whole 10 minutes, right? I would like, if we are to work with the group again, I would propose a different structure because for me, clearly what was not understood is that it's not an original corporation where they stay at the top, their city is their equal, and then the band leaders are down and everybody else, and that's the organogram. For me, why I feel extremely used, although that was not their intention. I'm going to say that again, because I know when people pat Dylan say, I feel used, but that was not the intention. And sometimes you have to look at the intention. I believe that the city, historically dating back to the mayor's brother, Marcel Tremblay, have always wanted a parade and something that is in a park. I believe that that is what the model or the working plans were, based on the shortened route and then the whole emphasis, like Jazz Fest or like whatever it is they know, a show in the park. The road, was such an afterthought. Whether and perhaps even if Yulka was there, the struggle, which obviously began from day one when you're trying to put a real road in place, would have continued to the end, and we would have ended up, whether Yulka was there or not, but very much the same thing. I look at the fact that judging, you take the little city of Montreal tin can stage, because that's what I've been calling it for years. It's a sardine pan. Push it up in the park, and there weren't even barricades that delineated the route for the masqueraders to go right through to get to the stage, such as the stage was. We had to fight through the general audience when for sure the crowd that was there was bigger than the park could hold. When I see time after time that the band leader and the elements for the road was just, we were all not on the same page. We all never managed expectations, but it was clear that the expectations and the understanding of the park, no problem, because everybody's done one of those park things before. For me, therefore, if we participate with that group again, I could see something like them, let them be the fiduciary to handle the money because they have those things. They have, Jamaica Association has credibility going back 60 years. But band leaders and whoever else who are the consultants or the retired person who's going to lead it up, because you can't be working a job and doing carnival. But we need to have a structure like that. I'm not about throwing people out of the equation because man, did they learn. And I believe as individuals, they got great strength. I think when I look back, if I believe what monies were raised, there's the top 3 money raisers in the 50 years. And I'm done talking. All I know is how we've been talking, this thing where Kai feels threatened because she puts her point of view on Facebook, and people feeling that they're not allowed to say how they feel is unhealthy for the community. Lastly, the person who needs to get fried is the city. And I see that we easy to fry Carimas people and not, because there's absolutely no reason why they could not have said November. You have the right to do it. The permit and the whatever monies we're going to give you is forthcoming. We'll announce that in April. Elections are coming. Elections are coming. Those are the people who need to be fried. Back in the day when they used to fuck up their ass, excuse the expletive, it's Antipat after all, people used to call their elected officials when the functionaries were not acting right. And I see that we have gone backwards in this continuous throwing
Good point. Good,
away of
excellent point.
political
Excellent
capital.
point.
I'm done now. I'm ready to come off.
Thank you, Auntie P. So Auntie P's suggestion is if we are to support, the coalition shouldn't be the lead of it. If I'm understanding, they could be the people who help to receive the funds. I wouldn't vote for that, but Auntie Pat's suggestion, they could be the person, the body that could help receive the funds, but they shouldn't be responsible for running it. Can I get in these last moments, last final thoughts and
I
your
think what
vote?
I
And
think
please keep your final thoughts to like 30 seconds, just so everybody can.
yeah, for sure,
right.
for sure. I think it would be nice to do like some type of a vote, like who's gonna run it next year and who's not gonna write it. But I think, like, from what I'm getting from this conversation is people are a little divided. Some want to give a chance and some don't. So
Okay, so
I don't know.
in your opinion, you want to give them a chance? That's what I'm reading between the lines. That's what I understand.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Which is
Yes.
fair. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no
Yeah.
wrong answer, guys. It's really
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? It's like it's just how you feel. You're entitled to your opinion and your feelings.
Yes. I mean, I mean, like many people have said, they're, you know, a little bit new to things, and the
Okay,
experience is not there in every like category, but
okay.
you know,
Yep.
they did try to put on 6 different type of events, which is not always done every year. So I think for me, I had like that. But yep. Thank you, Auntie Pants, for shutting down the
Yeah.
for kind of like
Look,
bringing some calmness to
yeah,
our
Yeah, but
discussion.
can everybody else give their opinion?
yeah.
Thank you.
One last thing. You know what? I just look at things as being very simple, right? I always like to have the right people to do the job that needs to get done. It's very simple. However, once again, we have to look at ourselves as a community that, you know, there needs to be a day where we as a community go and tell the city what needs to be done as far as with the carnival. And unfortunately, I strongly feel that there will be individual collectives that will be submitting paperwork again in whatever November, whatever the case may be, to host the Montreal Carnival. These are the realities that we have to deal with. And the city's gonna say it's open season because of this and that. There was some nonsense about Carimas saying that they're gonna get a 5-year mandate, which was stupid. I didn't even know why they even brought that up. But you know, the city's gonna say these are the rules and it has to be fair for everybody until we as the community come together as one strong collective, then you'll see the resources coming to an event like this. But with this divide and stuff like that, whether how small it is or how big it does not benefit anybody. And this year is a perfect example. And I think the frustration is people don't want to go down the same route again next year. Thank you.
I
Great, thank you, my brother.
sorry,
Mr. Kai? Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm down with I know that it's difficult putting that on, and I know that it's a stressful thing to do Kitty's Carnival as well as the big parade. I'm I just want all of us to fight the same fight and have purpose in what we're fighting for, because we love this community that we have. We love the diversity that we bring in this West Indian community. We all need to fight the same fight. So I'm down. For me, is if the expectation was brought to the table, I just want the expectation to be upheld. That is the only thing that I'm asking, is that the expectation of bringing something is upheld. That's all.
Don't sell me a 6 for a night. Got it. Thank you, Kaya. Kaya. Um, other feedback. And then I'll give my 2 cents, but I would love if anybody else had any comments. Nate, I did see your comment in the chat is concerning. Oh, I guess I'm not sure if Nate's still here, but he did mention that the fact that there's no transparency is an issue. So transparency is a thing. Um,
So
in
is it
my
possible?
yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Faro, I gotta get going. So if I could just give my opinion, just in terms of supporting them, I'm in support of them. And I think my question to this group and other groups who have things to say about each of the groups that step forward in order to run the carnival, this whole notion where you can just walk into the city and tell the city what to do, then you guys need to create it. You guys need to do it. Everybody is saying that somebody should do it, then you do it. You create an organization, have the organization running for 2 to 3 years. You get the NEQ number, you build the reputation. I think the issue with our community is that everybody always feels like they could do it better. And if you can, then step up to the plate and do it better. And Carimas and the coalition tries and has tried to step up to the plate. You know, they're not better right now on the first year out, but they might be on the second year. They might be on the third year. But we've given other organizations years with all the theft and the this and the that and all of the stuff that had been going on from since I came to this country at 4 years old, playing in Kitty's Carnival. And we're still talking about the same thing on how we need to go to the city. So somebody create the organization and go to the city.
Okay, so that good point. Thank you for sharing that, Quinn. The so to that point, when the Carifet Collective did approach the city, like we came with over $1 million in sponsors. Like we came with real budgets. We came with a real proposal, real plans. Our proposal was something like 60 pages. So
But Pharaoh, you partnered with somebody that the city already doesn't trust.
But sister, that has nothing to do with it because the city wasn't studying that. I could tell you for a fact the city is they're looking at numbers. It has nothing to do with trust. It's basically, can you mobilize? Do you have the experience? Do you have the budget? That's really what it is, right? So now, what we're talking about, the city is not going to change that structure because they took a lot of time to put the structure in place. This idea of them approving the permits in advance, they won't do it. Like it's not, they're not going to change the fabric. They won't change. They will tell everybody, like the gay parade, like the Irish Pat, everybody's getting their approval all at the same time, no matter what. So for our community, we're not going to get any special treatment. All
Right,
we
I
need
got
to do, right? So, and that's why the whole
Mhm.
conversation is really disheartening because at the end of the day, if we, like Brian is saying, if we can't create cohesion as a collective, we're
Mhm.
always going to go through this. And that's the reason why we had pulled out our application because we saw it very quickly. Because to what you guys saying, your points that you guys brought are absolute. But the collective that we had put together, we all do this for a living. We put on large events,
Mhm.
mobilize large crowds of people. Literally, this is what we do daily. So we know what we're doing when putting this type of thing on. But what we know that we can't control is the cohesion in the community. And the fact that the
But Pharaoh, you don't
coalition,
think that the city
but
has,
sister, wait,
you don't think the
just to
city
finish
has
the point,
reputation, thinks
wait,
about reputation?
just to finish the point, sister, the fact that the coalition, which technically would have been the only quote unquote competition, they didn't even say, well, let's sit together around one table and have a discussion. They like, so for me, that's really disheartening because it's like, well, if you're saying your objective is to bring the community together and we're begging you practically. We came to the coalition
Mhm.
3 times before they
Mhm.
applied to say, guys, it's in everybody's best interest to work together. Let's just figure out
Mhm.
how we can put the
Yeah.
differences aside. So for them
Farrell.
to not say,
Yeah.
let's at least have a meeting, it's really disheartening. So my thing, just to close this up, like I've said before, I'm down to support any group that's down that are honest, that are prepared to work for the culture, who understand what it's about. I would never endorse the coalition myself, right? Just because of my personal experience and what I witnessed, like the conversation we had and what they directly told me. I said, okay, I understand
Mhm.
where you guys are at. You're working for yourselves. Like you guys have your own mindset, but it's not beneficial to the community at large. And what we experienced this past weekend is exactly that. It didn't benefit the people. The coalition still could look good in the media's eyes because the pictures came out looking nice, the news came out nice, so the coalition could still look good. Who suffered were the people. The culture suffered, the band leaders suffered, everybody who actually depends on this culture suffered. The only people who won here is the coalition. So that's why I have a real hard time when I'm like, well, guys, they're not like, we have to be honest about the situation. You have to us asking for what you submitted had to be submitted in December. There's no reason why you need 2 more months to give us what you gave them in December, right?
Oh,
Just to understand.
Mhm.
Farrell, can I just say one thing to what you're saying and just to back up? And I do understand like how you're feeling and saying like it's disheartening, like what's happening. I know as like just as a community member, you know, I've been on the committee for CCFA and volunteering and always trying to help out in the carnival, right? In some shape or form, right?
Mm.
I think that just to support like what you're saying, and I'm speaking for myself, is that I think that, you know, as the community, everybody was supporting you. When you put everything out and you were demonstrating what you had, the members, your team, your vision, everything was out there. And I was like, you're gonna get it. 100%. Like like your team seemed fully ready. I'm having like a bit of a hard time. I mean, you can't go back, but I'm having a hard time like why you threw in the towel and just like
Because I could
it's not
explain
for
that.
I know
No,
you're
but it's
saying
not
it's cohesive.
complicated.
I know you're saying it's cohesive and all that stuff,
No,
but
sister,
like
I could tell you, it's not complicated. We genuinely care about the community. So for us,
I
we said, you
understand
know
that, but
what?
it
If wait,
seems
let me
like
finish the point.
financially,
No, if,
financially, you were more like it seems like your team
sister,
was financially more prepared.
sister, right across the board, we are
Yeah.
more capable, more prepared. That's not the point. The point is because
Okay.
we do this, we're professionals in this. We know that
Yeah.
there's no way you could do it in 2 months. So when we pleaded with the coalition and they refused and they submitted their application, we said there's no way we could continue like this every year, where every year there's going to be a bunch of groups saying they could do it better. And if we can't create cohesion right now, forget it. Let's just let them do it and let's
Okay.
support them in doing it. So that's when we told them, guys, you have the lead, do it, organize it. Here's access to funding. So that's why for me, for them to be talking about we don't have to, I really have a hard time with that because it's just not true. It's not true that they didn't know. It's not true that they didn't have time. It's just I don't ask me what they
Okay.
thought, right?
Yeah.
That's it. So anyway, so I'm gonna digress. That's not my point. Wasn't to
No,
go
no,
into
no,
the
no, no. I understand. I
right?
understand. It's
But
just yeah.
again, it is really just to understand the consensus. And what I
Mhm.
understand is that we, for the consensus, we want to support the coalition in doing it again. That's the well from this group that's here. That's the general consensus I get. It's just that we want a little more checks and balances in place. That's the general consensus. So I guess Raquel, if you work with the coalition and you have more of a a relationship with them, it would be awesome if they themselves could organize or advise when they're going to have a town hall to let the people know. And I honestly feel that they should apologize to the band leaders and the participants from the junior
Mhm,
carnival as well as the adult carnival, just because,
mhm,
like I said, we were there firsthand, and
mhm.
it's like it's heartbreaking to see what they did or didn't do for the people, knowing the effort that these band leaders put out. And like it was hard to see, right? So
A
it's
hundred
really,
percent. A
so
hundred
that like
percent.
just
Mhm,
out of respect for the community, please like put something out just to acknowledge the shortcomings, apologize for what it is,
mhm,
so people could even
Yeah.
consider
mhm.
them again, because it
But
really, yeah.
Pharaoh, that I agree with you, and I completely understand what you're saying in terms of the apology to the band leaders, and especially, what happened at Kitty's. I'm gonna tell you that everybody recognizes that there are shortcomings and that there were, significant errors made. My only thing is that does why do they need to come out publicly? And they are going to have a band leaders meeting, because I personally worked with two of the band leaders, that put out costumes, and etc. this year. They are going to have a band leaders meeting and a postmortem, for the band leaders to get their concerns and whatever grievances that they need to air. My issue is putting this out into the public. If you think a general apology, for the shortness of the route, like, what's the apology to the band leaders is to each one of them personally, because I took care of members that jumped with us. I spoke to them personally as a part of my customer service abilities, and apologize for certain things and thank them, personally. So
Mhm.
does this need to be something that's put out in the public,
Well,
or
good
would you
question.
are you okay with just knowing that they really were apologetic to the band
No,
leader?
no, it's beyond me. And the reason I would say you make it public is because something of this caliber, you want public support. You want the general community to understand that you guys.
I would, if I may.
It's not a secret, and I feel like that's the
Mm-hmm.
challenge,
No,
and that's what
transparency
we
doesn't.
would have. Sorry, Auntie P, just to finish the point.
Uh,
What we try to explain, even to the coalition itself, is that with something of this caliber, when you want to mobilize people, you need to be as transparent as possible about every single thing, because you want community buy-in. It's too large to function in silos. So if you're saying that you just want to apologize to the band leaders, you need the general public to feel you, to support you, to want to be a part of what you're doing. So it's in their best interest. If they don't want to, again, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. But I'm
But the
just saying
general public doesn't know the hiccups. The general public should not know the hiccups.
that's not true. That's but
May
that's okay.
I,
That's
may
liberal
I,
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
from
Okay,
a
but and sorry
communications
guys,
point
I
of
really
view?
hate to run these things way past the time that you
Yeah,
said.
but just to close,
Okay.
communication wise, I think it would be suffice if the band leaders and if an apology or some sort of meaningful conversation happened, that would suffice. It does not have to be public. Collectively, we could say to the public, a successful meeting was held, and the band leaders, there was an understanding. I don't have the words right now, but I don't think that they have to go as far. Although there are many people who knew what happened at Kitty's, and a few people know some of the warts, because really yesterday was a nice day, or whenever it was, rum drinking, music, it overall is a success. But they don't know that a whole contingent did not get on a road. Two contingents did not go on the road. They do not know the level of added stress from the last 3 days leading up to the parade, and nor do they have to. But their biggest stakeholders, which is the band leaders, right? And some people who are out of pocket, which there always are, right? That's who need to be apologized to. And it
Well,
needs to just stay at that level.
well, I understand the perspective, but the band leaders are super important. But without masqueraders, without sponsors, without buy-in from the public, it makes it hard across the board. So that's the only reason why I say transparency. Anyways, everybody has their way of operating. We have just found a lot of success in being extremely transparent. Where we fuck up, where we do great, where it just our members it just seems to work. Being honest seems to work. Okay, so I understand we want to manage the communication, fine, but it just hasn't worked for us in the past. So I'm not sure why we want to continue doing that with our community, because as soon as they're not sure, people start to create their own salute ideas of what happened, and then that's what starts to take fire. But if you come out straightforward, this is what it is, this is how it's going, we understand. And in this age of social media, people appreciate vulnerability, they appreciate honesty.
You're
They
correct, but
appreciate
as far
transparency.
as the majority of the world is concerned, Saturday was a over the top success.
Not according to what I see on Facebook. But okay, guys, we will close with that.
Can
Um,
I say one thing, please?
okay. Well, can I close the meeting, and then for those who want, because I hate to drag these things on for people who just want to go. So again, for people who participated, I thank you guys. We thank you for just being a part of the conversation. You're welcome to continue to stay, but I always like to just end the meetings to give thanks to life, give thanks to God, our creator, and our ancestors for being present with us and for creating this opportunity for dialogue. And I just ask that we just continue to be guided in this process so that we could eventually come up with a successful Caribbean carnival that presents our culture and generates the revenue for our community that it's supposed to. Hotep, amen.
Thank you so much, Pharaoh.
Thank you, Pharaoh, for organizing this.
My pleasure. All right, Queen. So Afia, you had something you wanted to say just as we're closing up?
No, you close up nicely, so I'm just gonna shut up and not say anything.
All right, well, guys, again, thank you, guys. We're gonna edit this out. And
do we stay on, or is shutting down the whole thing?
Oh, I'm shutting it down. Like if you got, like I said, if you had something you want to say, any final comments?
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Like I'm here. It's just that when we're having meetings, it's good to have a start time, end time, and if you're gonna go past it, just get the check-ins from the people, because that's what we're doing right now. Busting the
Everybody have a good night. I appreciate everybody. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Good night.
All right, guys. All right, so I'll see you guys soon. Have a great night.
Bye.